Welcome back, everybody, to the Laugh Cry Club. I am Joy.
I'm Rebecca.
Welcome, everybody. If you're new to the show, we are two licensed therapists here to give you free therapy.
Free. For free. No, we're not actually your therapist, but, we're here to offer some guidance and our personal take on different therapy topics.
On life, we have so much experience. We like to think that we're still 20, but we're not. We have over 20 years of experience. Yes. It's actually the more accurate statement is we have over 20 years of experience. We're not 20 anymore. Because we have so much experience under our belt, we're like, why not share the knowledge? We know that social media can give you a lot of information, but is it the right information? Well, guess what?
All right.
You're listening to the experts right here.
Mm-hmm. And, we are not a AI-driven podcast. We are real people, authentic. And one thing I love about our podcast is we're not trying to sell you something.
No.
Right?
Not yet. Not until the big advertisers come around.
Then guess what? I might try to sell you some vitamins. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
That's not who we are. And I think that's what happens. A lot of podcasts get caught up in this, let's generate revenue, which I totally get. But I don't want to peddle or sell something or entice somebody to buy something that I don't personally love. But I'm also not going to use my platform to get you to buy it.
Right.
Yeah, maybe I use this product, but make your own decision. So I think that sets us apart.
It sets us apart for sure. So hopefully this is a helpful time in your ears where we are just sharing our knowledge. Every week we pick a topic to focus on. This week we're going to talk about emotions and how they sometimes come out of nowhere.
And they get the best of us, right? Sometimes we don't even expect
anger,
it.
Like outbursts, and when that just kind of takes over. Like a common thing that we see is road rage. All of these emotions can just you think you have it under control and then you lose it and then you feel bad for feeling bad. And we just don't want to go there. So we're going to talk about that today. Any laughs and cries top of mind for you today, Rebecca?
I don't know if it was a laugh or a cry, but I had a beautiful, experience that I want to share with everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
On Friday, I went to, there was a group of women that got together, small group, like 5 people, and we went horseback riding. And I haven't been on a horse in 10 years. It's actually on my vision board, which was Chef's Kiss. It was the type of trail ride where you actually had to interact with the horse. I've been on some trail rides where they just kind of follow each other. You don't really do anything but sit there. No, you had to kind of turn the horse, get it going more. There were ravines you're going up and down. So we did that. This crazy windstorm kicks up, and I'm thinking, it's going to rain. It doesn't rain. And then we get back to the barn area, the corral where we're getting off the horses. A double rainbow appears. And then it just gets brighter and brighter. And there is a rainbow completely end to end that you can see over this corral. And I'm just and the lighting was spectacular. It was so amazing. It was a beautiful moment.
One of those moments that really draws you to the human experience of drawing you away from all your worries, and you're like, oh, it's a spiritual moment.
Yes, and everybody was just in awe over it. The owner of the place was out taking pictures. I mean, it was a beautiful experience. And then to bookend this, I started Friday with that rainbow. On Sunday evening, I saw another rainbow. So I saw 2 rainbows in 3 days. Actually, three if you count the double rainbow. 3 rainbows in 3 days. I don't think that's ever happened to me.
I wonder if your pets are trying to talk to you from the other side.
I don't know. I was kind of questioning that too. I've seen more butterflies recently, so it was really magical and special.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. How about you? Any laughs, cries for you?
Well, I've got a cry this week, and I think it's going to do more with our focus on our topic. So let's dig into that.
Let's do it.
It's just going to go right into what we're talking about this week was surprising emotions. And so last week I mentioned that we turned in Leela, the dog that we've been raising for about 14 months for Canine Companions. We turned her in, and the lead up to turn in is always this very weird time because everything you do is this goodbye, whether it be, oh, this is the last time they're going to go to Target with me, or the last time we're going to Costco, or the last time we're going to see this friend and do this play date. Everything has this finality to it. it. Leading up to it, I was okay. And it was interesting because in the previous dogs, it's always been really hard. Like I've had deep emotions, big feelings of dread, more of like those negative emotions that have come up. And the sadness has been really, I don't know, just heavy in the previous dogs. And so with Leela, I was like, wow, I haven't really felt that heaviness with her. And maybe this turn-in is going to be like, maybe she's just telling me that she's ready. And I think the whole time that we've had her, I've had this almost like disconnect of she's moving on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
And so therefore I thought that this means that turn-in's going to be easier. So I can say this now, but my mindfulness practice kind of laughs at that because I'm like, oh, that's so interesting that I've said it before, our brains are meaning-making machines. And I put meaning on that feeling of like, oh, this must mean that it's going to be easier for turn-in. So we get to turn-in the morning of, I'm just crying all morning, turning in. There's like moments, I think too, because you're with this community with like 40 other dogs that are turning in. Like I said, you go to this graduation ceremony. So they kind of like prime the pump of you being really emotional because you watch this beautiful graduation of people graduating with their service dogs. So you see like the full circle impact that Canine Companions has on people's lives. And then and they play like sad music, like heartfelt music. You know what I mean? Like they play like these really heartfelt songs because they do like compilation videos of the graduates, so you're like already primed. Mm-hmm. And so when we get to turn-in, I just start bawling. It's really funny because you get to meet the trainer that they're connected with. You get to meet the person they're going to be working with, and his name's Dennis, and he was just a love. He's like, so tell me about Leela. And I just started crying. I like couldn't talk. I was like, she's a really sweet dog, and like trying to tell him things about her. And I just couldn't. And Scott was the same. Scott was like, I was like, help me out here. And he like couldn't talk. Like neither of us could talk. And so we're just like sitting there crying, just petting Leela. Like all we could do was pet her. And the trainer's just like standing. And of course the trainer's probably like used to this. Like this is so emotional for people.
Yeah.
But the other thing is I'm so connected to all these other puppy raisers, and there's two people that it's their first time puppy raising, and they're two older women, probably like in their 60s, just lovely, lovely humans, and just like these sweet souls that took on these puppies. And one was this like brute, hunk of a dog. His name is Flash. He's
a hunk of a dog and he's Flash. That's hilarious.
He is. I mean, there's, dogs you meet that you're just like,
yeah.
The second I saw him and met him, I was like, I am in love with this dog. And everyone falls in love with Flash. There's just those dogs, right? Flash was always in our puppy class. And so I was like, I have such a soft spot for Flash. And talking to his puppy raiser, she's like, it's going to be really hard to turn him in. I'm really struggling with this. And I was like, oh, this is your first. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. So we were kind of talking hours before turn-in. And when she turned him in, we saw her turn in right before, it's gonna make me cry. Right before we turned in Leela, and she just broke down crying and like let out this like really big sob, and was just like, it just makes you like realize how, I don't know, these dogs like steal your heart and how impactful it is to like have them in your lives. But the fact was like watching her go through this, because she kind of like struggled with him at first because he's kind of a big guy and she's this like, smaller lady. And so it was kind of a cute, like unlikely duo, for them to be working together. And she ended up just like falling in love with him, where at first she was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like this dog is crazy. And, just to see that also like come together, where all of a sudden it's almost like a like Turner and Hooch movie where they're like, at odds. And then by the end, they're like, oh my gosh, you're my life,
Yes.
So I, of course, see that and I just start bawling. And then that like really just made turn-in for Leela that much harder, because you're just like around all these people struggling. And the other gal that turned in her dog too, then they were the same. Like we're all just, in tears. And it kind of made me realize, like, oh, the meaning that I had put on this turn-in was, like, that I was going to be okay. And
right, like, you got it, right?
Yeah, but the meaning is that being not okay was, like, a worse choice. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that I cried and that I felt negative emotions, the meaning I put on that was, like, oh, a disappointment or something. Like, oh, I didn't hold it together. I didn't do turn-in the right way. I didn't do turn-in with like a strong heart. And like, I wasn't like one of those people that could just like turn in their dog and walk away. And so like the meaning was like, it's better to do, like, I'm not as strong of a person because I didn't cry. You know what I mean? Like, that's the meaning I put on it.
That's what we do.
Like, that's what we do. And so I just wanted to talk about this today because these big emotions, when they catch us off guard, I think we're so hard on ourselves. We put the meaning on it that is not from whatever narrative what we were raised with, is like, that is the incorrect behavior, you know? And so I cried and I let myself cry and I let myself hurt. And we were going to stay another day, and we just ended up coming home early because we were like, oh, I was just so sad and I didn't want to stay there anymore. And I didn't want to go back to the hotel room and like just be alone with her. You know, Scott was there, of course, but we didn't want to be without her in the hotel room that we arrived in. We got on an early flight home and we picked up our animals and we like, you know, just spent the rest of the weekend really sad. I miss her. I miss her presence. And I think it was like, all of that was a huge surprise to me because the lead up was so like, oh, I got this. I'm going to be strong. I'm getting better at, and this is the striver in me. Like we all have our striver of like, oh, I'm getting better at this puppy raiser thing. And what I've realized, again, this is a lot of the mindfulness practice that I do, is the meaning you put on these emotions is really what is an interesting thing to observe about yourself, because the rest of the weekend I was so depressed. I was just really sad. I just thought, oh, don't be sad about being sad. Like, you're sad, period. What comes next, the labeling of the feelings, is, I think, what is doing the disservice for us all as humans.
A feeling's a feeling. I mean, it's not really positive or negative, right? That's us putting that on it. I was thinking about this topic, and I knew that this was really difficult for you. And I just started thinking more about this whole idea. Like, I think anybody can relate to this, even with anything. But I'm thinking like, you know, death. And, you know, as people die, pets die, and you think, oh, I've dealt with this before this time. Not like you're going to just walk through the park, but like, it's not going to be that bad. And we always do that to ourselves. And I'm like, I was just thinking more about, why are we trying to gaslight ourselves into thinking like it's no biggie and I'm not going to be sad? And I just think it really my perspective, and as I was thinking about it, I feel like it comes from this idea that we as humans are always trying to escape pain. We cannot sit in it. We do not want to be in it. We want to be out of it. And I think just our world, our environment around us, and all the things that we learn from our environment has taught us that being happy is the way to be. Like, only be happy, because the other place really sucks and is terrible, and don't even try to think about it. It's such a disservice, though, because that part, that darkness, that sadness is as much, or I think, honestly, more part of our life than the happiness. I feel like sadness, grief, depression actually probably is 50% or sometimes even more. And I think of like happiness as kind of like this 40% you might get in life. That we do so many hard things, and it's a disservice to not recognize the grief, the sadness, the depression, the hard things we do, and just let ourselves be sad.
Let yourselves be sad, and like let that just be in existence. And like you said, the amygdala, like that threat detection that you're always talking about, is like the scanning for danger. In therapy, there's a few different types of practice that we use to kind of explain this. There's frameworks that talk about this. There's like acceptance and commitment therapy, DBT, there's EFT, mindfulness. Like a lot of different types of frameworks explain this as like the secondary emotion. So the first emotion is sadness, right? Like I was just so devastated. And then the second emotion is almost like I felt bad for breaking down.
Yeah, like that's... Can we touch on that? You're bad for breaking down. Was it because you let yourself down, or now I'm letting Dennis, the trainer, down, and anybody else that sees me?
All of that. All of it. Yeah. And also the expectation was that I wasn't going to cry.
Right.
Like I put a meaning on it before we even entered the weekend. And, you know, let me back up even more. Was Thursday, I was a nervous wreck traveling with her. Traveling period is something that is anxiety provoking for me that I try my best to kind of work on, but I think it's even more anxiety provoking because I knew what the weekend was going to entail. And then traveling with her is just, traveling with a service or dog in training is hard to explain for people. Like, it's different from if you have a pet that you're just like putting in a carrier. But when I'm trained, at least for my experience, I don't know if this is for all puppy raisers, but for me, I am constantly scanning my environment. When you're training a service dog, you are constantly scanning your environment. You're scanning it for threats. You're scanning her behavior or their behavior at all times so that you can reward good behavior. So it's not a passive job. It is a lot of work. And actually, as I'm saying this, I'm like, okay, I'm giving myself, it actually feels good to say that because I'm like, I didn't realize like that's probably what was going on with me Thursday too, is on top of travel anxiety, I just had constant focus of Leela of,
you were scanning threats. Your amygdala was scanning the environment constantly.
My amygdala was like, oh my God, thank you.
Yes, it was
why I was so tired. I was like, so I'm walking through crowds. I'm watching people. I'm watching people look at her. I'm watching people comment. I'm watching people try to pet her. I'm watching, you know what I mean? Like, I'm constantly looking for, now I'm not scanning threats for myself. I'm scanning threats for her. So it was like overload. And then our flight was delayed 2 hours. So of course I'm like even more worried about like, oh my gosh, does she have to go to the bathroom? Like, I can't imagine. Kudos to people who travel with children. That's all I'm going to say. Cause I'm like, I don't know how you do it. Because anyway, So yes, so back to your question was like, so going into the weekend, I think I expected to be stronger, whatever that means. Again, here's the meaning before we even go into the weekend that I was putting on this whole scenario. And this is a mindfulness practice of like, can you just sit with the present versus projecting into the future? And my brain was just projecting into the future, was like, I am going to handle this weekend with a lot of strength and awareness and just, almost like this shiny, positive, happy experience that she's moving on to the next best stage. And that is also true, but I didn't handle it that way. And that was the disappointment, was like, I interpreted that crying and breaking down was a failure on my part.
Yeah, because we put breaking down and crying, losing it as negative. I think and we get embarrassed by it, don't we?
Totally.
I'm sure. I'm just thinking about this whole situation there. I mean, they've got a graduation happening, so we have tears of joy happening. Then we have turning in puppies, tears and gut-wrenching, probably sobbing of letting them go. That, oh my gosh, it's just so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so kind of explaining this too, because I was reading about this around like neuroscience, because I'm into the neuroscience these days. The prefrontal cortex tries to regulate our emotion.
Yes.
And healthy regulation is naming it, letting it be, mindfulness. Like, right. Here it is. I am sad.
Yeah.
But we learn to control it through suppression, which is like, don't cry, be strong, get over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing. I was like, calm down.
You try to talk your way through it, right?
Yeah. So then...
Which doesn't work.
Right. Because then the prefrontal cortex starts treating emotion as something to eliminate rather than to a process. So that's what I've been trained to do. And that's what I'm like realizing was like, oh, I was interpreting that as a bad thing. Mm-hmm. And then suppression increases our heart rate, raises our cortisol, and then, activates the sympathetic nervous system. So no wonder, like I saw my acupuncturist yesterday and I was like, my nervous system is so exhausted. And she's like, okay, we're going to work on that. And like, this is just something I want all of us to just notice how we're doing this. How we're naming emotions, putting meaning on emotions. What is that secondary emotion doing?
Yeah, I'd love for us all to just get to a point where we just let ourselves be sad. I think there's this unfortunate part too, where our society doesn't let us, like our work doesn't let us. It's like, if I'm sad and depressed, I should be able to take time and just be in it and not expect to perform. And I think that's part of just society in general. We have come to this place of always perform, always produce something, and it has taken away just part of being human, that when we are sad and upset, we become physically depleted. We have zero energy in our tank, but our job still expects us to show up. Or, for some places, I think the majority of places here in the United States will give you the standard like 3 days off of grieving. So I would love for people just to be able to, and I know maybe not everybody can do this, but to acknowledge like how you're feeling, like I'm sad and I need to take time and be okay about sitting in it. instead of this quick thinking of trying to get out of it or let me distract myself by doing something else. Just let yourself be sad.
Yeah. I read a book a long time ago. This was when I was in my 20s, and I was very new to experiencing depression myself, or even kind of knowing that that was what it was. And there was this book, I think it was just called like The Depression Book. And it was a really cute, like little illustrated book that talked about just throwing yourself a party when you had depression. And meaning like go with the depression. It was like the same spirit. I still think about that because it's the same message that we're talking about, which is allowing that emotion. And I think some people myself included, that concept has been so foreign that allowing it feels like if I open those floodgates, I will never recover. And a lot of patients that I talk to are like that. They're like, if I open those floodgates, I will never come back from it. And I think that's the fear. The fear is the unknown because we've never done it that way before. But guess what, everybody? You've done hard things before. You've done new things before, and it has never taken you down. I always say this to clients. Look at your past history of the things that you've done. You've survived them. I promise you this is going to be the same. I promise that you will survive this. Like your emotions will not take you down to where you're never going to leave your house again. Like I promise. And a therapist can help walk through that if you're worried about like doing that alone. Look at it more as not like, oh, I'm opening the floodgates and I'll never return from it if I go there. It's more about, I'm going to get to know this new way of dancing with my emotions. Like we're learning a new relationship together versus my relationship in the past. And a lot of people is suppress. The example with Leela, I came in labeling, thinking success for me looks like a happy, joyful, fun, spirited turn in versus
it's so fun,
breaking down. Isn't it so fun? Like, it's like when you talk about it, I'm like, it's so funny I did that to myself. Like instead of that, and then I got really sad, and then I was like, dang it, I thought I was, I'm disappointed that I broke down. Like now the relationship is, oh, okay, that taught me a huge lesson. Emotions are going to be there. They're going to be there. They're going to come up however they choose to come up. The idea even just going in to set us up for failure of thinking that like, a bad emotion is or I should say sadness, anger, whatever we want to say is like a quote unquote negative emotion equals we failed. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to dance with my emotions differently now. I'm going to have a relationship differently with my emotions now. Going into any scenario with whatever happens.
Absolutely. It's not a failure. If anything, what it's telling you is your body is working correctly. Could you imagine if we did not feel sadness? We would not have relationships with animals or people or anything. There would be we'd have like zero feeling.
Yeah.
Because, I go back to some of these quotes, like, I can't remember all of them, but there's these quotes about something like you really know you're alive when you felt loss. And that's when you know that's really living. We remember those things. When we're happy, we can remember them, but they don't like sear into our brain.
Yep.
And that when you are feeling intense pain from a loss or sadness, you are a human being and are 100% alive.
Yeah. It reminds me of this quote from Andrea Gibson, the poet that passed away, I believe it was last year. There's a Instagram post that their wife put up recently on their anniversary. And
oh my gosh, that was a tearjerker. Yes.
But the last sentence still gets me. It says, that's the whole point of a human heart, you'd say. To open so far, it breaks.
Exactly.
And this is a tale as old as time. There's been so many Brené Brown studies, vulnerability, talks about this, where people try to beat vulnerability to the punch by protecting our heart from sadness. And guess what? It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No.
And one of the interviews I know I've mentioned here before that she did while she was doing her research was a man who was married for 50 plus years and said, I never really lived my life fully expressing to my partner how much I love them because I was just like trying to protect my heart from when I knew the day would come when I would lose them. And guess what? The husband said, well, when I lost them, it was extremely painful. There's no way around it. So why not live fully? So protecting your heart, guess what? You're going to have the same outcome of pain. So you might as well well, just go all in, like throw the chips all in.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I mean, it's so interesting because we try to practice it. I was just thinking about like when my Charlie was getting older, I thought, oh, I'm going to take this pet grief and loss and became a pet grief support specialist.
I remember
a lot of hours, like on preparation. I got to prepare myself because this is going to be gut wrenching. You know what? I would imagine that I felt the same sadness with or without that chorus. What it did give me is some words to put to things, to be able to describe what I was feeling and to be able to walk myself kind of alongside of myself through the grief, and that it was okay, it was natural, and it just made me feel better also knowing like my loss mattered. That was the big thing, because sometimes with pet loss, people have their opinions, right? It's like that training just helped me with words. It did nothing for my emotions. I grieve the same with it or without it. And so it's like preparation. You're not prepping it's like preppers, you know, people want to prep for things, right? Like for like a war or something. Let's get all the food, blah, 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 all that stuff. Yeah, you may have some things on hand to help you, but the outcome is still the same.
Yeah, but we think we're
and we think we're going to protect ourselves. But you have no idea if your little shelter that you created and all your food is still going to be good and works. Like, it's a gamble.
Yeah. So I'd like to share this Zen parable that I heard. I do a weekly mindfulness practice as a group with Brown University. Like once you take one of their classes, you're invited to like a weekly meditation practice. Like on Zoom, it's 30 minutes. It's with one of the instructors. And this week, it was so beautiful that I wrote it down, which I rarely do. But like when something strikes you, I was like, oh my gosh. It relates to our story, or our topic today, I should say. It's all about like having one eye on the goal versus and having a divided focus. So the essence of the story focuses on the danger of keeping one eye on the future instead of saying like rooted in the present. So I'm going to just kind of like briefly go over it. The dialogue is a monk asks a Zen master how long it will take to reach enlightenment. And the master says 10 years. And then the monk presses further and says, what if I work really hard? And then the master replies 20 years. And the monk asks, okay, what if I work like really, really, really hard to reach enlightenment? And the master replies 30 years. And the monk's really confused. It's like, why does the timeline double the harder that I try? And the master explains, when you have one eye on the goal, you only have one eye left to see the path.
Oh my God.
So like requiring both eyes on the present.
Which means be present.
Working harder on the goal is not going to get you there. Like if your focus is on the goal, and you're like, I want to reach enlightenment. And that's what I do. I talked about it when I did my retreat where I was like, I want to get better at it. I want to get better at it. And like, that is the striver. And it's like, that is not the point. The point is to stay. So his question during the meditation was like, what is the work that deserves both eyes right now? So I would just encourage, maybe in closing today, like maybe the work and the lesson is like put both eyes on whatever emotion you're feeling today, moment to moment, as opposed to that secondary emotion, then going to like the feeling bad for feeling bad, or I should have done this. Keep your eyes together on the same thing. Don't let one like stray into the past or the future.
Right.
And see what that does for you. For me, honestly, that has been just like a game changer this week of even just recognizing that, oh, I'm sad. I'm just sad, period. End of story. No more feeling bad for feeling bad.
And so you feel like you've stopped trying to escape it? Like you're just like, I'm going to be in it?
1000%. And look, I don't want to oversimplify this. I've done a lot of therapy and I've done a lot of work, and the mindfulness practice has been a lot. So I'm not saying like I'm cured. I'm just saying it is that's not the goal. The goal is always just sitting in whatever the heck is coming up. So I say that with the awareness also that we are not here to like strive and get better. We are not here to always feel better. That is never the goal, because that automatically puts us in a future state, puts us in a striving state. The goal is to completely immerse yourself in whatever's happening right here and right now. And life will always bring you out of that. But to answer your question about like the emotion piece, I have just peeled a layer away from judging myself about these expectations that maybe didn't go the way that I was like thinking it would go. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, I really like that. Keep your both eyes on what you need to focus on.
What work deserves both eyes, right?
Yeah, I love that. It's a great takeaway.
On that note, we're putting both eyes on the love we have for you, listeners.
Yes.
And we're so glad that you join us every week. This is episode 96.
Ooh,
soon
we're getting closer
to hit the 100s. We just love that you're here. And if you want to support our show, you can share it with a friend. You can rate and review us. It's a very quick and easy way to support us. So all you have to do is on the app that you're listening, there should be a rate and review this show, or subscribe. Subscribing is also a way to tell the platform, hey, I like this show. Rank them higher so more people will find us. If you have a topic idea or want us to cover anything in particular, you can reach us laughcryclub@gmail.com. And then we're also on social media at Laugh Cry Club. All right.
Like keep laughing and crying, everybody.
Great convo. Laugh and cry.
Yes.
And all emotions are welcome. We love you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.